okay, so like, I just knew I was going to get some experiences in October. I just had a feeling. And Joel, he seems to like October for some reason because I know I've had many, many, many out of body experiences in October. And so what a good way to start off October because he just gave me two this morning between 4:30, no, actually between 5 a.m. and about 5:45 a.m. like two of them. And so anyway, I just had a feeling. Oh, okay. So the funny thing was, I think I was asking for an experience even before I went to bed. Yeah, I don't understand what's been so long since he's been giving me out of body experiences because he used to do it at least once or twice a month, and it had been like longer than 6 months. He had been giving me a couple like lucid dreamy type of things, but not my normal out of body experience, virtual reality experiences where he comes to my bed and somehow he takes me out of body in many different ways. And sometimes I can't tell that he's like sometimes he'll just trigger it, and then I don't necessarily feel him at my bedside, but he'll trigger it and then I'll start flying. And then I know, wow, I'm out of body. I can't believe I'm getting an experience. And then I'm anticipating when I'm flying, when he's going to place me down in the virtual reality scenario. But this time he came to my bed, so to speak, twice. And even after both experiences, I still had about 45 more minutes. Man, I think I could have got another one if I would have went back to sleep. And I did feel groggy, but I knew I had to get up in about 45 minutes or whatever. And I felt him still, like after the two out of body experiences, like I don't know, like that weird magnetic energy. So he was still at my bedside, so to speak, even after the two experiences. But the funny thing was, like I said, okay, so like I said, I know why I've been asking him for experiences for quite some time because it had been a long time since since he's given me an out of body experience. Okay, so right when I went to bed, or shortly thereafter, he likes to communicate to me, and I think there's a couple other reptilians too that communicate to me by way of 1980s songs, 1980 pop songs. And so he kept making me play over and over in my head by Paula Abdul. He's a cold-hearted snake. And I couldn't get it out of my head. I mean, for many, many, many hours, many hours, many hours. I mean, all freaking night long, many hours. And then after I got the two experiences, then I was like, wow, okay, that made sense. That made sense why he kept making me hear that song over and over again in my head. And because he was telling me he was going to give me an experience, well, two experiences. And after one experience, I had woken up for a good 20 minutes, and then bam, he gave me another one. But what was I gonna say? So here, let me see what I was gonna say. Oh yeah. So okay, the first out of body experience went down like this. Oh damn it! I meant to put. Oh okay, well, I meant to. I was gonna do the template a little different, but I forgot to kind of. I don't know. I was gonna do it a little different and try to do it faster instead of putting all these images or whatever, because I was just gonna put like how he took me out of body both times instead of all the little characteristics from the experiences. But I forgot to do that. But anyway, I can tell about it anyway. Okay, this was this was like so cool. Okay, so so before the first out of body experience, I didn't connect what it was all about. But okay, so the first experience, he had his foot in the middle of my bed. Okay, for both experiences, I was laying on my back. For both experiences, and before the first out of body experience, he had his foot in the middle of my bed. Now I don't know if he really did or if it was just virtual reality or whatever. but I kept like, because I was still halfway asleep, but I kept remembering trying to like move it out of my way, and I couldn't move it out of my way. So basically, he just kind of had it like just down towards the bottom of my legs, in between my legs or whatever. And I just kept remember trying to push it out of the way and push it out of the way, and it wouldn't budge. And this foot, I mean, he had a sock on too. I mean, it didn't necessarily feel like a reptile foot, but it was very large and very wide. It was very big. And I couldn't really tell if it felt like a human foot or a reptile foot, but it was very large, very big. And it had a sock over it. That's probably why I put a sock over it, so I would feel the sock instead of like his knobby feet or whatever. But that part was kind of funny. But I didn't like when I started flying after he took me out of body and I started flying, I didn't connect to what that was all about, that foot thing, until after both experiences. Well, I can't remember if it was after that first experience when I still laid awake 20 more minutes until he took me out of body again, or if it was after both experiences. But right off the bat, I wasn't, when I was flying, I wasn't like, oh, is that what he was trying to tell me? He was about to abduct me, by putting his foot on my bed or whatever. But I didn't, so that part was kind of funny. I guess he was trying to tell me that he was there, at my bedside or whatever. But it was like very, very, very big, very strong, very wide, and I could not, it would not budge. I kept trying to like move it, like, and it wouldn't budge or anything. Okay, so this is kind of funny because he has done this before, like at least two other times in my out-of-body experiences where he makes me fly backwards. But the first couple of times he's done it, I didn't like it. It felt very awkward and it wasn't fun. Okay, this time it felt fun. And so he took me out of body after I started feeling around on his foot. Okay, this is how it goes down. Okay, I was on my back. These both were out-of-body experience, virtual reality experiences with both, with astral travel in both times. Okay, so I was on my back the whole time when I was in bed for both abductions. Oh yeah, I already told you that. I started talking to him, for an experience before I went to bed or whatever. And then, and then I started talking to him again like around 4:30 a.m. So, like I say, both out-of-body experiences happened around between 5 and 6 a.m. Okay, and then when I went to bed, I kept playing the tune Cold Hearted Snake in my head for hours and hours and hours, by Paula Abdul. And like I say, now I know why, because I couldn't get it out of my head playing it over and over again because he was telling me he was going to give me some experiences. Okay, and I already told you about the foot in the middle of the bed. Okay, let me see here. No. Done with both. Yeah, okay, and I didn't know what that foot thing was all about. It didn't dawn on me what it was all about till after both abductions, and I started thinking, oh, that's why he was trying to tell me he was there, you know what I mean? Okay. Oh, okay, here it is. Okay, so the other one I didn't write down because, to me, it's harder to read like this, and most of the time I don't even have to write them down, but for whatever reason I wrote this one down. The other one I didn't write down, the Shrine Mosque one. But, okay, so this is how the first out-of-body experience went down to the gay convention center with a bunch of gay guys. Okay, this part was funny, but it seemed he had a hard time getting me out of body, and even I was trying to help him forcing my. See, I didn't type this right. Okay, hold on. Trying to help him by forcing my back. Okay, so anyway, the first time he tried to get me out of body. Okay, I was laying on my back. And it was 3 times. He attempted to get me out of body 3 times. And I'm sitting there thinking, how hard can it be? Okay, I felt like I was a little too awake. I was too heavy. And, And I could tell he was having a hard time getting me out of body, but he could have just been doing that to mess around with me, to, just mess with my head. Okay, so I remember either the second or third time because I knew he was trying to sit there, and both times, this was kind of weird, both times was like really, really gentle when he, took me out of body. Okay, so for the third time, or the second or third time, I guess it was the second time, he was trying to get me out of body, and I kind of was trying to help him. I was trying to like force my physical body up or whatever, because I was just trying to help him get me out of body, you know what I'm saying? Because he seemed to be having a hard time. Okay, and I was trying to help him by forcing my back up, jolting it up. Well, by the third time, he got me out of body. Then I started astral traveling pretty fast, way up high. But the funny thing was, he made me astral travel backwards on my back. And we were traveling south. And this time, it was fun, and it did not feel awkward. He has done that before in other experiences, which did feel awkward, at the time. And there was a couple other experiences I didn't like going backwards. But this time, it did not feel awkward, and it was a blast. And I don't know, I was going pretty fast, 20, 25 miles an hour. And I think I said this at the end. And these are something about, where did I write that down at? It is somewhere. Oh, okay, I said it in the next paragraph. Okay, so this time it did not feel awkward, flying backwards. And he was there with me, but I could not see him. Okay, so also when I first start astral traveling, he makes me feel heavy sometimes. I think he does that to mess with me. And the first 2 times when he was trying to take me out of body, I felt heavy. Still, as he was trying. I think I was too awake. It seems like that many times. And even when I'm astral traveling, waiting to be dropped down in the virtual reality experience. He's done that before as I'm astral traveling. Like, he'll make me get heavy all of a sudden. And I think he just does that to mess with my head, to be funny or whatever. But I don't like when he does that, because I like feeling, like totally light as a feather all the time. But he's done that before, I think, just to be ornery. And like I say, many times, when today, both times when he took me out of body, when I was astral traveling, I kept thinking, like, a lot of times I feel like I'm too awake and that I'm going to be jolted out of the experience too prematurely. But never does it ever happen like that. He's always successful in giving me complete virtual reality scenario. Only like maybe one time I felt like, I don't know if I can't remember if it was Joel or somebody else, but I don't know if I accidentally botched it on purpose or if they did it on purpose. But there's only been one time where that has happened, where they tried to give me an abduction and I started astral traveling, and then nothing happened after that. And then I was, that's only happened like one time. So he's always successful 99.9% of the time, even though sometimes I still feel like, okay, I'm a little too awake, but okay, so okay, yeah, so even at this time I felt like that I was I'm afraid I'm gonna wake up too fast or something and not get the whole abduction. But I never do, and Joel is always successful at giving me a full out-of-body virtual reality scenario. Okay, so after astral traveling backwards for quite some time, then boom, Joe placed me down into a big convention center on the ground floor. I started walking around for quite some time looking at all the booths. And all the booths seemed like little kitchens. And it was nothing but a lot of one-on-one gay guys having explicit live sex. I'm leaving a lot of details out. But as I first started walking along the floor of the convention center, I was walking north. And all the booths and stuff and the gay guys and the little kitchens were all on my left, which is west. Also, these were not small booths. They were like booths as big as a small bedroom. Just like when you go to a convention center, like if you go to a New Age metaphysical convention center, you'll see a lot of different people selling their crap and their booths. They're like not really a booth, but just blocked off little compartments. You know what I mean? I think you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so that was the first abduction. Okay, now here comes a freaky one, but it was fun. And okay. Yeah, okay, so like I say, you're not gonna believe how he abducted me the second time. And as far as I remember, this is the first. See, that's what's so cool about these experiences, because you never know what you're gonna get. I mean, there's always gonna be a lot of similarities, maybe, but they're always like, so different. Each one is gonna be like so different. You never know what they're gonna put together for you. Well, not they, but him. Joel gave me both these experiences, and like I say, for some reason he likes October, and I think it's been a good 8 months since he's given me an out-of-body experience, virtual reality experience, maybe 9 months. I'll have to go look. That last experience, he got mean on me. That was that last significant out-of-body experience when he got mean on me in the closet. And then this time around, he's like all gentle and shit. So, I don't know if it could be like, but I don't know. I mean, because I guess all of them could do, similar sexual things, and some of them may mock, other beings and stuff. So maybe, I don't know, but Joel's kind of been mean before, but who knows, maybe I was dealing with a different being when I got abducted, but it was the same kind of sexual stuff, you know what I'm saying? But still, I mean, they're all perverts and stuff, so that could have just been a meaner reptilian, that abducted me in the closet. That last one or whatever, that was 7 or 8 months ago. But this time, like, he was all gentle and shit. And he didn't, like, try to get me off or anything. Which most of the time he will, like 8 times out of 10. But the second abduction was, like, hilarious. Because, like I said, this is the first time he's ever abducted me like this. Okay, but anyway, so after the end of both experiences, I had a couple other little, like, dang it, after both out-of-body experiences, I had a couple little virtual reality dreams, so to speak. One of them was me, my sister, my mom, and I was in her house, Chrissy's house, and it was nothing like the house in real life, but she's always like trying to remodel, and I was in her weird living room. It was just weird in the scenario. Nothing like, it was just like I was in a different dimension, weird. And it was just kind of quick, and I was just looking at the wall was all undone, unpainted and stuff, and it had weird pictures on the wall. And, it was just in disarray. And then there was this one weird part. Me and my sister and my mom were in the car, and my mom was like distressed about something, and she started laying down on me and my sister's lap, and I was like holding my mom's hand and stuff. It's so weird. That's not the first time they do weird stuff like that. And like I say, the other little weird virtual reality dream after both of these experiences, or it may have been in between both experiences, they both were kind of quick. I've been worried in real life about the poor little kitty across the street. She's like my little stepchild cat, but she somehow disappeared last Tuesday, and I don't know where the little rascal is. I don't know if an owl maybe got her, or a raccoon maybe got her. Crap, I don't know, but it's just kind of weird how she's just gonna disappear. So I hope nothing happened to the little rascal. So I've been worried about little Precious, the cat across the street. And like I say, Tuesday was the last time I saw her, and that was the last time the neighbors saw her, the owners or whatever. And so it was so real, she was in my front yard, playing with one of my cats, and I can't remember who it was, and I was just like, all right, she's back. But it was like so real. But anyway, that was just 2 quick little experiences in between these 2 out-of-body experiences. Okay, so this is how the second out-of-body experience went down. Okay, let me see here. Okay, this time... Okay, I'm trying to think. Did I get up and go to the bathroom after the first abduction? No, I don't think I did. But I did become totally awake, probably for 5 or 10 minutes or whatever. Or I don't know, 20 minutes maybe. And then I got another one. Okay, so the second one is a lot better than the first one. Okay, so... Okay, this is how he abducts me. and he's basically there at my bedside, so to speak. Okay, and like I say, both, and it could be, see, I mean, okay, this is kind of weird, but a lot of times, it's happened many times, okay, like, if I'm laying on my stomach, sometimes I will, I'll just, when they abduct me, I'll astral travel on my stomach. Like, a lot of times they will abduct you how you're laying, and I was laying on my back both times. So, and I think I did even have one of my arms behind my right arm, behind my head or whatever. And so the second time when he was at my bedside and he abducted me, when he took me out of body, he literally, picked up both arms up like that. And so he was just holding my arms. My hands were straight up high. And he was holding on to like my wrist and hands and everything. And I was flying along like that. I mean, that was like hilarious. That's the first time he's ever abducted me like that. So basically, I was just like, he, pulled me up by both arms, both hands. And then I was just standing up, upright basically. And then that's when he took me real up high in the atmosphere or whatever. And then he started traveling with me like that, like straight up, standing straight up, except, I was traveling. And he was holding my wrists and hands the whole time with my hands like straight up in the air. And I mean, with my arms straight up in the air. And that went on for quite some time. And there again, I was probably astral traveling at about 20, 25 miles an hour. And like I said, that went on for quite a while. And then, here's where all the freaky stuff comes in. And then, boom, he places me down in a Freemason Shrine Mosque. And like I said, this building, oh my God, this building was so old. I mean, like 400-year-old building. The one in my town is it's over 100 years old, I think. But that's funny. Why I don't know why he took all these little bits and pieces, in my brain. I hadn't had the Shrine Mosque on my brain in a long time. But the funny thing is, they were going to tear that building down over 20 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe it was. They were going to tear that building down. Yeah, actually, I guess 20-something years ago. They were going to tear it down. I remember they said they were going to tear it down, and they never tore it down. So after I had this experience and I woke up and everything, I'm like, oh, is that why they won't tear it down? Because they're having all this ritual, sacrifice, demonic shit going on in there? I started thinking that, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is the actual one in my town, I think. I haven't been over there in a long time. But it looks like a creepy ass building. Old as shit. But I mean, in this scenario, I was not in my town. I was just in another, virtual reality town or whatever that he made up for me. He didn't tell me, but I was didn't seem like my town at all or anything like that. It was just a different town, so to speak. But he didn't actually tell me the town. Okay. So after he started astral traveling with me by the arms, he placed me down into the Freemason Shrine Mosque lodge, basically. And like I say, this building was old as shit, 400 years old. And so I started walking up to the first circle on my right. It was all these eyes wide shut looking people in masks. And at least one of them had a stick. The first one that I looked at looked almost kind of like a skeleton, like a face. That was pretty similar to what it looked like. Except it kind of was more off of his face, a little wider, and it was more white looking. It looked very similar to that, but maybe a little more skeleton-like. And so that was the first person, the first, demonic person that I looked at, that I stared at. And he had a stick. They all had robes on, and it was, at least, I don't know, like maybe 12 of them in a little circle, like a 10 foot by 10 foot circle. Or maybe 12 foot by 12 foot circle. And And okay, my impression was, I don't know if Joel meant to give me that impression, but my impression was, I was like, wow, are they getting ready to sacrifice somebody? And that's what I thought. That was my impression. But I don't know if Joel really meant for me to think that. And so basically it was like he placed me in the Shrine Mosque just to walk around and observe. And that was the first circle that I came upon. There was a bunch of circles, different circles with different people. And I bet you he probably put that in my scenario, all of the different little groups of people and stuff, because, you know, I remember listening about that, you know, that place out in California, and then they have all these different, if you like, you know, butt sex or whatever, you go off in this room. You like oral sex, you go off into the other room. You like kid sex, you go off into the other piece of the land or whatever. It's not rooms, I guess, because they're outdoors, aren't they? What's that place called out there where the big owl is? I can't remember what it's called. In California somewhere. You know, they, you know what, I think Joel was trying to copy that, you know, in my brain, because I used to listen to Alex Jones, and he talked about that. I forgot what the hell it's called. I don't listen to him anymore. I don't, you know, I haven't listened to that stuff in a long time. So that's what I felt like Joel was probably trying to copy from my brain. So when I was in the Shrine Mosque, he was just, you know, putting all these different like groups of people. Now, but the only demonic buttholes was that first group of, that first circle over to my right that I walked up to. That was the first, I mean, that was the only demonic group that was in the whole Shrine Mosque. And like I said, I thought they were about to, you know, sacrifice somebody. And that was my impression. Okay, now you're not gonna believe what the whole time, at least the whole time when he set me down, placed me down, and I started walking and observing, or at least for 1/3 of the experience. You're not going to believe the music he played that Joel made up for me. It was American Indian music, like American Indian drumming, and it was like so cool. And I was just like, are you kidding me? This is like the coolest music. And it was, it sounded very similar to this. I mean, it sounded very similar. Well, I guess there's not much variety to American Indian music, but it sounded very similar to that, except it was it was a different beat, just like that. It wasn't the same beat, but it was the exact same kind of tone, the drums and everything. So that was like freaking cool. Okay, so then, okay, so I walked over to my left. It was a pretty big, the first floor of the Shrine Mosque building. It was pretty, you know, it was pretty big. It was a pretty big floor. And so I started walking over after I started observing that first demonic circle where these people were about to sacrifice somebody. Okay, I started walking way over on this side, way over to my left. And then I come across another group of people. And I started looking at all these people. And it was just like one big family of like 20 people. And most of them were 60 to 75 years old. They were older people. They had gray hair. A lot of them had blue eyes. And I think there were a few, you know, like 30-year-olds. It was just one big family. And I got the impression that, like, I don't really know why they were there. I just knew that I guess they were just observing or whatever, just like what I was doing. Just walking around observing. I mean, they weren't about to do no, you know, sacrifice or anything like that. I mean, they were just totally, like, I don't know what they were. I think they were just there observing. Like, they were totally separate from this clan of people, from this demonic group of people. They were totally separate from that. But we were just all on the same floor. Okay, so let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Okay, okay, but like I say, the building looked 400 years old, by the way. the floor, all the paint. I mean, there was big old paint chips. There was paint chips like 5 inches wide, 5 inches long, or maybe 6 inches wide, 6 inches long. Coming up from the floor. That's how old this damn building was. I mean, it's super old. Okay, so and like I say, that was just a nice big old family, and like I say, I observed them all, and I was just like, like I say, a lot of them were like 60 to 72 years old. That man had totally gray hair and blue eyes, and the wife had gray hair and blue eyes, and then there's like a bunch of other, and they were all white people. Of course, all these people with masks on. I don't know what they were, but I'm sure they were white people. Okay, so then, like I said, I guess the only real cool part was all the face masks and stuff that they showed me, or that he showed me, of the demonic people. I mean, that was probably the coolest part, but it was the most demonic part. And like I say, the first guy I looked at, they were all men. I didn't sense any of them were women. He was holding a stick, just like in Eyes Wide Shut. You know how that guy holds a stick or whatever? Okay, so then I end up after I passed the nice family, I started walking back this direction. Back this to the iPhone, that direction, and the Shrine Mosque. And then I started seeing like tons of other people that were just standing around, sitting around. And I went over to sit down by my sister. My sister was on my right, and I was on the left, and there's a bunch of other people. I know it's kind of weird, but it's almost like we were just like sitting around waiting for a circus to start or something. But that was never in the scenario. That thought was never in the scenario. You know what I mean? Like, why are we all just sitting around doing nothing? You know what I'm saying? But they used to have the circus at the Shrine Mosque. But the circus had nothing to do in the scenario. That thought wasn't even in the scenario, in my mind, in the scenario. Okay, so now here's where a weird part comes in. Okay, and there was a woman on my left. I can't remember who she was. I think she was just a complete stranger. But my sister was on my right, and I like I say, after I started observing both circles of people, and like I say, there were other circles too. I just didn't go up and observe them. Okay, so then I just decided, okay, I'm done looking at everything. Let's go sit down. So I was sitting there, and it seemed like I was against the wall. After I started walking around the whole dang big old place, I started walking, this way, and then I met up with the wall, and I was sitting in the middle. My sister was on my right, and a stranger was on my left, and there was a bunch of other people, standing around ahead of me and sitting down and stuff, quite a bit, like at least 100. And so then this was the funny part, and that's when I started looking at the floor and looking how old. I started looking at the walls and the floor, and it was just so old. All these big old paint chips were flared up, And I mean, this is like I said, this building was old as shit, like 400 years old. And then, okay, so after I started looking at one of the big, huge paint chips that was flaring up, what was it? It was, yeah, I was like, ew, look, a rat. And everybody was like, oh my God, a rat, we need to kill it. And I was just kind of like, no, don't kill it. It started coming up out of the floor. And I was like, no, don't kill it. And then it started shape-shifting into like a cat. And then it walked up to me. I mean, these beings, like Joel, and a lot of times they do such weird stuff, you can't even ever explain it. It's so weird. You can't even explain it in words. Okay, but at first it was a rat, and I was like, look, a rat. Because the building was old, so of course there could have been holes in the floor. So the rat turned into a cat. Okay, it turned into like a kind of grayish cat. Or maybe Joel was copying off the cat that's missing, the gray cat, across the street that's missing. But it was like a gray cat, and then it started walking over to me. Well, by the time it got to me, guess what it shape-shifted into? And it was looking straight at me, almost like it was human, almost like a gorilla kind of look. Except a lot more human. And like I say, lately I was looking at gorillas and stuff. And I think Joel kind of put that in my scenario, because gorillas are kind of like, you can look at their eyes and stuff, and they're almost kind of like an animalistic human or something. And some of these beings are like that too. They're like they're like animals that walk upright. Some of these mean reptilians, and some of them are just, the flat-faced ones too. They're not necessarily monster-looking ones. Joel's kind of like a more monster-looking one. But so anyway, okay. So then the cat. Okay, I'm just about done. The cat shapeshifted, and that's not the first time they made things keep shapeshifting. It shapeshifted into like this big old mean Rottweiler looking dog. And Joe probably knows that I don't like dogs really, especially big dogs. And my sister actually used to have a Rottweiler, but I don't think necessarily that's why he put that in the scenario. But this big, he had a big old head, and he was malevolent. He started coming up to me, and he just started, he was just inches away from my face, and he started looking at me like, should I beat your ass? Should I bite you and attack you? He started giving me those looks. He started communicating to me that way. And I was just kind of scared, you know what I mean? And then finally he just walked off and backed off. This dog, this big, that shape-shifted from a rat to a cat to a Rottweiler. And I don't know why they're funny. These beings, they like to intimidate you a lot. Like in my scenarios, they'll do something that's kind of intimidating. And so that was the intimidating thing that he did. But yeah, it was so funny. Because this big old Rottweiler dog, it seemed like it was like so, almost like as smart as a freaking human. And so then it started backing off. It decided, I could tell it changed its mind. No, I'm not going to beat your ass. I'm not going to bite your ass and attack you. And then he just turned around and walked off. He gave me those communications. Okay, here's where the other funny part comes in. This is the very last part. And so, good, I'm just about done. Okay, so, the very last part, okay, I was still sitting there, and like I say, I talked a lot to my sister, and then that stranger that was on the left, and those are the only people I interacted with, besides the dog. But I remember a lot of other people screaming, like, we gotta kill the rat, because the rat came up from the floor. And like I say, it shapeshifted, it was really a Rottweiler, because it shapeshifted into a Rottweiler dog. And then, like I say, that's not the first time he's done that. That other experience, I forgot what it was, but it was something that boomed. All of a sudden, it was a fish, I think. It was a fish. I looked at a fish, and then it morphed into a dog. That was that other awesome experience that I had with that timeshare condo that I rented. That was all under virtual reality, out of body. Well, it wasn't lucid dreaming, it was complete virtual reality. That was an A+ experience. This was probably more like an A experience. Well, I guess you could say it was an A+ experience. Both of them, because, so they were A+ experiences. But that other one was just really A+, because it was just so, and I was asking for that. Give me something so intricate and detailed, and let me look at remember every single intricate detail. But I have a lot of intricate detail. I'm always looking at little intricate detailed things in my scenarios, and I remember all of it too. But that was a good experience. It was a fun experience. That one where I was renting that timeshare condo or whatever. Okay, so anyway, here's the last part. Okay, so at the very last part, actually, you know what it was? It was kind of like I was touring the place, right? Like I said, I already said I was observing it. So it was kind of like I was just taking a little tour of it. Well, there wasn't a tour guide until the very end, and I don't remember seeing anybody, actually talking or anything. But it was like a tour guide. So at the very end, after the Rottweiler wanted to beat my ass, I looked up kind of far on the other side of the Shrine Mosque, that direction. We were sitting over here, and I looked that way. And there was these two old doors. Two old doors. And this is what the what do you call it? The tour guide said. And it was a girl. It was a woman, she said, but like I said, I don't necessarily remember her standing there talking to us, but a tour guide was talking to us. I mean, I didn't actually see her talk to us, but then all of a sudden, the tour guide started talking at the very, very end of the scenario. And then she said, okay, so look up at those two big old doors up there, up there at the the wall. And she said that was the very first original Freemason doors. That's what she said. I mean, so basically, I don't know, I was in the first ever shrine mosque for all these demonic people to have the rituals and stuff in. I guess I was in the very first building ever made or something. And but that's what she said. She said, and they looked really old, of course. She said these are the first, doors to the Freemason Shrine Mosque Lodge or whatever. That's what she said. Freemason Lodge, Shrine Mosque, or Lodge. And she used the word Freemason. She used that word. And like I said, even when I was dropped down into the experience, I already knew where I was at. I already knew Joe, I already knew in my brain what it was. I already knew it was a Freemason Shrine Mosque Lodge. I already knew that. But then at the very end, when the tour guide started speaking, we looked up at these two big doors that seemed to be kind of not really on the floor, though, kind of more in the middle of the walls. You know what I'm saying? And that's when she told me, okay, it's like she was being a tour guide. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, those are the original, very first ever Freemason doors. And so, like I said, I guess I was in the very, but but all of this was virtual reality. It wasn't real. It's not like this really existed in real life. But yeah, so anyway, it was kind of, it was a trip. I'm going to go to bed early, man, because I'm going to get some more experiences. It's only 9 o'clock. So yeah, I should be able to, just as long as I make it to bed by 10:30. But if I go to bed like 12:30, sometimes, it's just too off schedule, and sometimes I can't get any experiences. But yeah, I don't know why all of a sudden he decided to be active all of a sudden, but he's probably going to start being active from now on for many more months. And then, I may have another dry spell for 6 or 7 months, but I haven't really had a dry spell like that in a long, long, long time. But like I say, both experiences were just fun, because it's fun to astral travel and stuff. And when you get plopped down into these scenarios, it's no different than just being, walking around in 3D. It's no different. It's so freaking fun. The only difference with the lucid dreams is that you literally feel like you're in another reality, another dimension, and it just feels so awesome. Where you're in these kind of scenarios, and it just feels no different than 3D here, But that's what I don't know, I like both of them equally well, because some of those lucid dreams that I have are A+ experiences too. But anyway, thanks for listening.